This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. Tasmania is taking a major step forward to right the wrongs of the past, with the government revealing it will opt in to the National Redress scheme. It means Tasmanian survivors of child sexual abuse will be able to access redress payments and other remedies in recognition of their trauma.
An historic day for survivors of child sexual abuse, with the government making this announcement in Parliament.
In an important and historic step forward, the Hodgman Liberal government will opt in to the National Redress scheme, a key recommendation of the Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sexual Abuse.
The government will set aside $70 million for Tasmanian survivors over the next decade, but is committed to spending more if needed. Victims of abuse in the state's churches, government and non-government institutions are now eligible for a payment of up to $150,000.
Under this National Redress scheme, we will be able to provide more support for the victims of abuse, not only to assist them through a monetary payment, but also to provide additional supports.
The move comes after months of complex discussion with the federal government and pressure from the churches and survivors.
Labor welcomes the announcement from the government today, but regrets that it has taken this long. There has been ample time for states and territories to work through the details of the scheme.
We have to remember we're talking about people now who, when they were children, were entrusted to adults who should have looked after them, who not only abused that trust, but abused them and harmed them for life.
Those who have received compensation previously are still able to make a claim under the new scheme, with additional payments to be determined by an independent body.
Well, I think it's, really important for Tasmanians, care leavers who have been abused in Tasmania's orphanages, children's homes and foster care. It's a momentous day. A bit long to wait for it.
The Tasmanian Anglican Church announced in April that it would sell a large portion of its properties to fund the scheme, today finalising its list of proposed sales.
It helps us to move forward now. We can step forward confidently into the future. Our plan is to raise the $8 million we need for survivors of sexual abuse.
The scheme will commence on July 1 this year. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
An Integrity Commission investigation into the Glenorchy City Council has found 2 former senior officers and a former alderman acted inappropriately to gain a financial advantage. A report of the investigation's findings was tabled in Parliament today and alleges the council's former General Manager Peter Brooks and General Counsel Siva Iskandali had conflicts of interest that resulted in the duo obtaining salary increases and promotions. The report also states former Alderman Stuart Slade helped the then GM receive an $18,000 performance bonus by altering assessment methods. The findings have now been referred to the Director of Local Government. He will consider whether or not the alleged misconduct constitutes as an offence under the Local Government Act. Damaging winds have swept the state, causing boats to rip their moorings, trees fall and even buildings collapse. It was a sleepless night for many as winds peaked at more than 100 kilometres an hour in Hobart.
As the sun rose over the eastern shore of Hobart, the power of the overnight winds became clear. Boats dragging their moorings, beaching on the shore. These scenes are a demonstration of what the weather is capable of.
Wind speeds increased significantly around 11 p.m. with our strongest wind gusts of 113 kilometres per hour. From that point onwards until around 5 a.m, the wind speed hovered around 50 to 70 kilometres per hour.
In Newtown, the damaging gusts triggered a dangerous wall collapse.
Part of the wall's missing at the top and a sheet of iron's missing and there are bricks down on the ground. But a lady came past and called out to me and asked me not to go inside. She said because the roof is actually lifting.
Bricks from the Josephite Mission and History Centre falling onto the footpath and spilling into offices.
Tell us what it looked like in that room.
Well, I didn't go right in, but there were bricks and the ceiling was dangling.
Bricks still sitting in a precarious position, forcing emergency crews to set up an exclusion zone, keeping children at the neighbouring school inside.
We have some concerns with the roof, that it's not tied in suitably safe. So we've informed Sacred Heart College also of the potential risk there of the roof becoming dislodged.
Council workers and Tas Networks crews had a busy morning clearing debris and responding to fallen power lines. In West Hobart, a tree was ripped across the road.
For the residents further up Salvator Road, it's cut them off. So I understand that we don't have electricity till later today because the vegetation crew have got to come up and clear the line.
Workers at the Royal Hobart Hospital redevelopment were also stranded, with scaffolding damaged. The Weather Bureau says the winds came down from the mountain.
What we suspect happened is that winds from Mount Wellington came right down the face of the mountain through Hobart City, and that really sustained the winds.
Less than 2 weeks on from the powerful Hobart storms, Tasmanians left with more weather chaos. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
While in Tasmania today, Senator Hansen ruled out running a One Nation candidate in the upcoming Braddon by-election. But she did confess she's planning on running a number of Tasmanian candidates in the next federal election.
I would dearly love to stand a candidate in every seat, lower house seat in Tasmania. I think One Nation has proven that I'm not there to support or back up either party. I'm here for the people.
A date for the Braddon by-election is still yet to be set. Welcome back, everyone. More of our Tasmanian unsung heroes have been recognised for what they do to help others. 18 volunteers receiving Outstanding Achievement Awards or Special Recognition Certificates today, including Launceston Parkrun founder Craig Boone.
I always get a bit of a kick out of seeing people get fitter, and it's very rewarding if knowing something you've done has helped other people get fitter.
Lynn Rigby received her certificate for being a Launceston General Hospital auxiliary volunteer.
We run the kiosk on 3rd floor, which is, and all our money goes back to the hospital. If I'd have been there all the time, I would have been there for 48 years, but I was there for 28 and had a bit of a break, so I've been back for another 10 years. So.
The awards ceremony was held as part of National Volunteer Week. In the face of a housing crisis, the University of Tasmania has purchased a hotel to help provide accommodation for its students. Real estate experts say it may go some way to relieving the pressure on Tasmania's tight rental market.
The Mid-City Hotel in Hobart CBD is set for a transformation. What are currently hotel rooms will soon house students, with the building being taken over by the university.
This motel, this accommodation, once it is refurbished, will become part of a pool which will offer a range of different types of accommodation, and it will come to house a mix of students, both domestic and international.
The university is trying to grow its student numbers, but housing has emerged as a key problem. Some students struggling to secure accommodation.
We know that some have been living in accommodation that we would describe as not being up to scratch. There are people staying on people's couches, and there's people in sort of too many to a house. That's why we've taken the measure that we have today.
The transformation of the mid-city removes hotel rooms in the middle of a tourism boom. But real estate experts say it may help to cool down the rental market.
It does take the pressure off the rental market. With the growth of the university and the growth in student numbers, we probably need even more accommodation to help alleviate that pressure.
After a quick refurbishment, the building should be ready to house 140 students for the start of semester 2 in July. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
It's not the easiest topic to discuss, but Tasmanians, no matter what age, are being encouraged to talk about palliative and end-of-life care. An expo today highlighting the support that's available across the state. Doris, the therapy dog, and her handler, Marianne, one of those supports.
Doris takes the focus off themselves for a little while, and it's all about her.
Many of us don't think about palliative care or dying until we're diagnosed with a life-limiting disease, and then it's a bit too late. What we really want to do is inspire people to come and access and gain knowledge about the services in their local community.
Palliative Care Tasmania is also using this week to thank its volunteers. Students from Glenorchy and Invermay primary schools have pitched ways to improve the environment in a nationwide competition. One idea, a phone app which encourages recycling, was presented to a panel of technology experts in Sydney.
See rubbish on the ground, they pick it up and it scans and gives them little rewards. If they take the rubbish to a recycling centre, they will get cash back as well. So there are two incentives to encourage people to look after the environment.
Both Invermay and Glenorchy focused on environmental issues. They saw plastic pollution in the environment as a problem, and they have looked in their own backyards, their own lunch boxes, come up with apps to reduce pollution and thinking of the future.
Students had spent 3 months developing their ideas. The winner will be announced in the coming weeks. A once-in-a-lifetime chance to uncover some of our maritime history is about to take place. Historians are hoping to find an old convict ship beneath a Tasmanian hotel built on reclaimed land when the site is bulldozed in the coming months.
It's the mother of all treasure hunts. Does a 2 centuries-old ship lie wrecked under this hotel?
We are hopeful because if it's down in the mud, in the water, if it's been wet all these years, it would preserve it.
The ship was called the Canes, and the only reference to it today is at the front bar. But with the site now earmarked for demolition, historians will soon find out if any of the Canes remains, as it's believed the hotel was built on top of the ship's keel.
We've got a chance to go down there and find the keel if it's there.
The Riverview Hotel will make way for the expansion of a car yard next door. Its development application has been approved on the condition an archaeologist be on site in case something is found. The local council says developer Errol Stewart is on board with the idea and will cover its cost.
You know, what a great story. There's a curious and quirky story here about potentially a boat and other artefacts being under this building.
This is it. This is the only opportunity. Once that's built over, it'll be another 50 or 100 years before it's done again.
Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Take a look at the day's business and finance news now with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has endured its worst session in 7 weeks due to a broad sell-off that impacted the banks, miners and Telstra. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 42.6 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 75.87 US cents and 109, there it is, 0.05 New Zealand cents.
Launceston and St Helens the warmest with 18, Burnie and Devonport 16. The blustery conditions brought light showers to the west but mainly fine for the rest of the state. King Island and Friendly Beaches 16, Flinders Island, Smithton and Lowhead 15 degrees, Strawn and Ouse 14, Grove 13 and Lyawheenie doubled its overnight low to reach 6 this afternoon. Mostly cloud free over the central, north and east of the state, little bit of low level cloud clinging to the west and far south. And we have a cold pool of air just to our southeast. Extensive low-level cloud is over the eastern bight, and apart from the mid-level cloud over northern WA, the rest of the country mostly clear. Now, the high maintains its position again tomorrow, extending over most of Australia. A cold front approaches our west coast. Westerly winds at 20 to 30 knots, reaching 30 to 40 knots over the south with a 4.5 metre swell. Gale warning is on for waters between Wineglass Bay and Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for most other waters, a small craft wind alert for the lakes. And for tomorrow, becoming windy again for Hobart, partly cloudy and 16 degrees, 16 for Geeveston, a shower or two, Bothwell cloudy and 15. Launceston mostly sunny, warming up to 17 degrees, 17 the top also for Devonport and Cressy. Burnie can expect a partly cloudy day, 6 overnight, 16 the high and 15 the top for Strawn, a showery day in the west. Curry on King Island a shower. St Helens sunny tomorrow, 18, 18 for Swansea. Orford mostly sunny and 17. On Thursday, showers over the west and far south, less likely in the evening, fine elsewhere. Maybe some inland fog and frost. Light showers over the west on Friday, fine for the remainder with winds becoming light. And fine on Saturday, a chilly start, but excellent conditions for the Campbelltown show, running now since 1838. 28 tomorrow in Perth, a bit of cloud there and over Adelaide. A possible shower forecast for Melbourne with 16 degrees. Early fog for Canberra, fine to mostly sunny for the other centres. And it's clear at the moment, 11 degrees in Hobart, 9 right now in Launceston, Devonport 11 and clear. And as I mentioned, great weather coming up for the Campbelltown show, very historic show, Joe. Still will have the show bags and also the rides, but they will concentrate mainly on the agricultural excellence of the region, particularly the wool industry and also the sheep industry. One question for you though, 180 years of shows, what were those early shows like at Campbelltown?
Oh, aren't you funny? Thank you very much, Murph. It will be a good show though.